Welcome to A Conversation. I'm Joe Smith. I'm glad you're here. Every morning on Palm Springs Today, we get to meet and talk with so many interesting people. It's because we live where we live. And because of that, having a conversation is always fun, interesting, and enlightening. During the next half hour, we sit down with a few of our favorites from this past year, including Don McLean. He wrote a song we all think we know the lyrics to.
Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys are drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die.
It's a song you can't help but sing along with, American Pie. Don McLean wrote and recorded that song nearly 50 years ago. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for putting that picture of me from 200 years ago.
When they invented film.
That's right.
Yeah.
And recordings.
You know, when I look at that and I listen to it, I think of it as note to self. If you look at the lyrics, would that be accurate?
As what?
Well, that you wrote it as a note to self.
Yes, in a way, that's all about me. It's about my life. It's about me. I'm an observer of everything that's going on around. But it was also I wanted a bigger song about America. I was working on an album, and I didn't have the song that I wanted, the big one. And I said, I want to write This Land Is Your Land, but I don't want to write that kind of song. I don't want to write a Woody Guthrie song. So I said, I want to write a brand new song with a whole new vocabulary about America. So that was what I came up with.
But did you know when you wrote it that this become what it is 50 years
No, I didn't
later?
think I would last a year. You know, I had the worst manager in show business. He used a phone booth that returned quarters. I swear to God.
And if you know what a phone booth is.
Yeah, he would go on the phone. There'd be a line all the way down the block. It's like, the phone booth. And he'd be there. No, I'm on one call. You know, William Morris, you know. So that was my manager. And we lucked out. We got a little deal with Media Arts Records, a man named Alan Livingston, who was the president of Capitol Records and who signed a lot of great artists. Sinatra, the Beach Boys, the Beatles, Kingston Trio, all these people that were big in their genre in the late 50s, made the label into a powerhouse, and he believed in me. And but the record label didn't last that long. Put out the first album, I'm working on the second one, and it goes under. So now I'm in the middle of making this record. I haven't got the song that I want, and the company's finished, you know, so I'm out in the street. So I get a couple of weeks later, I get a call, no, it's going to be okay. United Artists has picked up the label. So now I'm working on this album and came up with this big song. I said, I'm just going to do it, you know, not make it 3 minutes or, you know, user-friendly, just tell the story.
Yeah.
So that's how it's a long shot, all right? It's a big Hail Mary pass, that whole album and that whole song. I'm just so thankful, you know, to be able to do what I do and give it to the audience.
Isn't that nice?
It is.
Boy, not many people get to do that.
I know.
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of people drooling, you know, in wheelchairs my age, but I'm out there rocking and rolling.
And I love it. and you're a desert rat, too. So we like that, too.
I have a house out here.
Yeah. And Maine.
Yes, in Maine. Well, we love it out here. We like the desert.
Yeah. What a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Stay with us. Up next, Fred the Hammer Williamson. And from Curb Your Enthusiasm, Cheryl Hines. This valley is known for giving back. Fred the Hammer Williamson stopped by to talk about one of his passions, the Wounded Warrior Project.
Buongiorno.
He's getting ready for a movie in Rome.
That's why I'm looking like this. As soon as I finish the tournament, I'm off to Spain to do a spaghetti western.
Another spaghetti. How many spaghettis have you had?
I've done 5 spaghetti westerns, but I've done about 80 movies altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
80 movies.
Yeah.
Do you have the collection?
No, I don't have that.
You don't
No.
have a copy of them?
I let other people do that. Mine's in between the ears.
Hey, this is the 10th anniversary
Right.
For the celebrity golf tournament to benefit the Wounded Warriors.
Yes.
How'd you get involved in this and
Well, I'm
why?
a former Marine. So there's some identity I have with these guys, and I try to do things that the government is not doing for them. And when the guys come home wounded, you know, nobody thinks about the wives, because now the wives become caregivers. So what the Wounded Warrior Project does is they provide a service that the government doesn't do. They provide in-home care to alleviate the wives from being caregivers so they can maintain their own private life. So this is one of the big fundamental things that Wounded Warrior Project does, is take care of the veterans once they arrive home and also accommodate the wives. So it's a good thing.
You've been in the desert for 21 years now.
Yeah, I'm a Beverly Hills reject, yeah. So.
No, and I told you earlier that you rejected them.
Yeah, of course, it goes that both ways.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, sir.
At first I thought, my gosh, he's going to be so intimidating. But you're not.
Well, when you know that you can defeat your enemy, why would you be intimidating? When you know that
Yeah,
there's
and no ego.
What is that? That's free. Ego is free, man. Come on.
Thank you. This year, the Rancho Mirage Speakers Series hosted so many interesting people, including Cheryl Hines. She wanted to chat about happiness. Why not?
For me, it's about finding the moments in your life to celebrate and to not wait to be happy. Don't wait for that one thing to happen. Don't wait for the car that you think you're going to get, or the house, or the job. You know, for me anyway, it's been about recognizing when I'm happy and taking a minute to acknowledge it and say, oh, okay, that's great. Because there are plenty of times when you recognize that you're not happy.
What was the point at which you got to that point to don't postpone joy,
Yeah.
and to savor those moments?
It's a very good question. You know, I think because I chose to be an actress, I learned early on that most of the time I am not going to get that part. So most of the time if I choose to wait to be happy until I get that part, I will not be happy. So for myself, and I know we're getting kind of deep in this, but for me, I had to define happiness. So I realized, oh, it's not about that one thing that you're going to get. If I can ask myself, is there any place else I'd like to be right now? And I say, no, I wouldn't be here. Is there anybody else I'd like to be talking with at this moment? No, I wouldn't be here. Talking to this person, having this moment, then that's happiness for me.
So what's the level of anger here? What am I dealing with?
Well, I'd say at least an 8.7.
Of course, people know you from Curb Your Enthusiasm. People are upset probably that you divorced Larry David and left and then came back. And what's going on?
You tell me. I don't know. And of course,
Do you love him or you don't?
both.
You
Do
love
you
Andy?
love him or don't you? I mean, that's the question,
Yeah.
right? We love to hate him? No, that's such a strong word.
It is, yeah, but in the good sense.
Yes.
His humor is so dry. Your humor is?
I think it's dry as well. I mean, I certainly appreciate him. I think he's very, very funny. So I think we have the same sort of sensibility.
Oh, that's a good way to put
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So if you were not doing what you do, being a producer, an actress, a director, what's plan B?
Well, I think in my opinion, I would make a great psychologist. And I'm not ruling it out. I mean, it could be a side job.
Now, here's the thought.
Yeah.
Is it better not to have a plan B
All right.
so that you stick to what you know and you love?
Yeah. Well, actually, what I talked about tonight was that I went to beauty school. So, worst case scenario, I could renew my cosmetology license and cut hair.
Oh, that's
So how about
interesting.
that?
So you were not a beauty school dropout.
No, I thought about it.
Oh, you were fun.
So were you.
Stay with us. More conversation ahead with TV's Barney Miller, Hal Linden.
I'm old-fashioned. I love remembering.
How lucky to get to do what you've always wanted to do. That's the case for actor and musician Hal Linden, who has a place in his heart right here in the desert. You never had to punch a clock.
Never punched a clock. It's, you know, so when I play a human being, it's all made up. I know nothing about it. I have to make it all up.
Was there a plan B in your life if you didn't go into show business? Did you?
I wasn't that organized. I'm not that organized a human being. I just went along with the flow and it just kept going, that's all.
Of all the jobs you've had, which one do you remember most and like most?
Oh, there's too many of them. There's too many. And there, you know, certainly I can tell you which ones had a major effect on my life. I'll start with Bells Are Ringing, starring Judy Holliday. I got the first time on Broadway ever.
But you also made a good living by doing industrials.
That was a very interesting phenomenon at the time. The late 50s and the early 60s was the real heavy industrial time. You had to do everything. You had to do nuts and bolts, you had to do comedy, you had to dance, you had to sing, you had to be able to slide a car around.
So where did you get that training?
The first training, I think, came from standing in front of a band.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Hal Linden.
I'm old-fashioned. I love remembering. I love the old-fashioned things.
I was the personality kid. Maybe not the best of the musicians, so I made sure I knew all the lyrics for all the shows that were coming in. Then came the Rothschilds. That was about 15 years later, was the Rothschilds, which gave me, that made me the leading man on Broadway. That gave me the Tony. That gave me calls from Hollywood to come in. And a man named Danny Arnold saw it. Never came backstage, never sent me a note, but put it in his head, and when he was about to produce something called Barney Miller, and the network said, oh, here's a list of all the people we think would be, he said, no, I saw this guy on Broadway, I'm going to use him. And that was it, and that was the next step.
So a lot of people, because they are so well known for one thing, either embrace it or loathe it.
How can you loathe something as, if you're going to be stuck with a persona, if you're going to be attached to a property, let it be something as classy as Barney Miller. Come on. Yeah.
Can you hum the song?
Wait a minute. Somebody call me. It's my ringtone. I'm still looking for, you know, the hit. I'm still looking to be discovered. And I'm going to keep doing it till I get it right.
Up next, he was responsible for one of the world's most popular Christmas songs.
We're here at Coffee in Palm Springs.
Let's treat him to a cup. Let's go in.
How can we be better?
I think you're doing a great job.
What do you watch?
NBC.
Thank you. You'll be watching every morning?
We sure will.
What time do you get up in the morning for this job?
Very, very early.
I bet you're not as early as me.
I don't know if 3 a.m. is
I
early
got
for
you beat, 2:30.
Oh.
Welcome back. You know the song within the first 3 seconds, and there is no way you won't sing Feliz Navidad, thanks to Jose Feliciano. I have to say thank you on behalf of so many people of the world for bringing us Feliz Navidad and making our Christmas bright.
Well, thank you. I'm the one that should be thanking everybody for making Feliz Navidad the hit that it's been, even with Mariah Carey's competition sort of thing. I'm thrilled, I'm blessed, And if it weren't for the people, Feliz Navidad would be nothing but a song.
But what was the inspiration for that? That is one of those songs, and it creates an earworm, because once you start singing it, you can't stop.
Well, what created Feliz Navidad was many things. That year, in 1970, when I wrote it, I was working on an album with my producer, Rick Gerard, and Rick said to me one day, "Jose, why don't you write a Christmas song?" And so I started playing the guitar, and Feliz Navidad came up. It came up very quickly, and I went to the RCA studios. We recorded it. I even put Puerto Rico's native instrument, the cuatro, and it did well. The people accepted it, and I'm happy.
So when you hear it, and I'm sure you've heard it a million times when you're in the car or any place out, and you hear the song, what goes through your mind and the joy that you know it's bringing to people?
I am thrilled. I'm the only artist, at least for now, that has written a Christmas song that has stuck. You know, and I'm thrilled, and I'm happy for it. And I think the thing I even love more is that children seem to be attracted to Feliz Navidad.
So, as we are in the holiday season, what is it that you are most grateful for now, and has that changed over the years?
I'm grateful for being alive. I'm grateful that God gave me a pretty good voice, because, of course, I never considered myself a singer. I always thought I was a much better guitar player than a singer, but he gave me the combination, and I'm thrilled, and I'm grateful all the time.
Don't go way up next. This actor kept the newsroom on track and the Love Boat on course. Gavin MacLeod. We wrap up with a conversation with a desert favorite, Gavin MacLeod. His career started on the stage in his home state of New York, then on to the movies and, of course, television, Murray Slaughter and Captain Steuben. But like everyone, it hasn't always been smooth sailing. What did you get from your mother, and what did you get from your father that makes you the person you are?
Well, my mother, she lived to be 97. My father lived to be 39. In 1945, he died of cancer of the colon. And that was a big vacuum in my life, and I never got over that. My brother, who's 2 years younger than I am, never got over it. And sometimes you don't get over things like that. And I've searched in my whole career, my whole life, to find someone, a father. And one day I was praying to God, and I heard, "Your search is over. I'm your real father. I've been here all the time, seeing you through the ups and downs and everything, and I'm going to take care of you." So that was great comfort for me.
For all the success that you've had, you always remember where you came from and how grateful you are to have had the opportunity.
I don't know. I have been grateful for everything that's ever happened to me, because I think of all the people out there. There are so many talented people that never get a shot. And then there's that great question, why, God? Why me? You know, why me? And thank you so much. I've never considered myself the way you talk about me. I'm just a very fortunate, blessed guy that been able to realize his dreams and have wonderful children and grandchildren.
Any regrets?
Well, divorce is nothing I'm proud of. And I remember after getting a divorce, I was going home to pick up some things, and I had 4 little kids, and David, my one son David, and he was young, and his friend was there. He says, "Here comes my dad. He's gonna get a divorce." So I hear that word divorce, and I said, it takes some of the onus away, divorce, but it still means the same thing. That's a lot of forgiveness in me. I ask for forgiveness a lot for some of the mistakes you make. But I have a wonderful life with my wonderful wife, Patty. We've grown old together.
Twice.
Yes, twice. I've loved her so much we got married twice. And here we are in the twilight years, you know. And the only sad thing is that when you get to be this age, you lose so many friends. Lisa and Kay Ballard that lived here, and Carol Channing and Pat Boone, Shirley, I had to speak at that funeral. And then they just keep coming. And you have to adjust to that when you get older. But we're still here. You want to make the most of everything when you're here. I love meeting you and Barbara. It was so, I think God set that up. I tell you, it's been so easy.
I met a new friend, and I'm so grateful.
Yes. Well, here's to Massachusetts. Massachusetts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. God bless you.
Thanks. Thank you, Gavin, and to all our guests this year. And here's to more wonderful conversations ahead in 2020. Thanks for being here.